Okay. I gotta get myself together over here. How's everybody's week been going? Good. Everybody excited to be here at church today? I'm glad you guys are excited because I'm so not excited. I am, but I'm super nervous. This week has been like a super crazy week. Pastor's giving me the task of giving a message this week. And it was a real struggle. Sorry. So yeah, this week's been super crazy. I have this message that I felt like God showed me a long time ago. And it was really cool. I shared it with the youth and I shared it with a couple people. I didn't think I was going to ever share it up here because it's a cartoon. Yeah, and God speaks to all of us different ways. And I just wanted to share a way that God speaks to me. And I was super excited with that whole thing that I saw. I saw 2 videos that I seen when I was younger, and watching it as I'm older, and believing in God, I got to put a connection to it with God. I thought it was crazy. And so I had this message, and I don't really like to work on anything that God's giving me until I feel like it's time to give a message. And I'm learning now that maybe I should start writing it down and creating a message beforehand, so I have a bunch of them set up already. Because it happened twice already so far, where it's been really hard, but this last one is super difficult. So anyway, so I got this message, and I'm okay. I know what God's telling me. I got the basic idea, and I'll wait till Monday to get started. Monday comes around the corner, and I realize, oh man, this is going to be a really hectic week for me. We have our book reading, we have our meetings, we have all these other things happening, right? And like I started to freak out, like, oh, I don't have the time to do this. I'm thinking about other people's graduations and all this stuff. And so I started to freak out. And I'm like, you know what? I'll be fine. You know, God's got me. I know the message, and I'm off on Wednesday. No one's going to be home. The kids are at school. The wife's going to be at work. So Tuesday night I can chronic by myself, but everybody's sleeping, and do it on Wednesday. I'm the kind of person that it needs to not be quiet. I just need to be left alone when I'm doing my message. Like I'm trying to formulate something, I cannot be around somebody. Like, if they're there, it bugs me. Like I need to be able to speak out loud. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but I need to talk out loud and do my own thing and be my own weird self while I'm trying to create the message. So I'm excited. I got this going. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna play some basketball on Tuesday night. I'll come home, take a shower, be refreshed, sit down, do my stuff, and Wednesday I'm gonna knock it out the park. And the rest of the week I'll be able to just put the small touches on it. And I was excited. It's like, oh, maybe I'll even get a PowerPoint done since church is on Sunday and not Saturday. So I'm super excited. And then what happens on Wednesday, my baby's day off, my wife calls out sick. So I'm like, oh man, I can't write a message and she's sleeping in the room. Like, how can I do all these things that I do with her there? So I try to go outside, I try to move my car, and then I can't do it. So it's a big struggle, right? So through this whole week, it's been like that. I haven't gone to certain graduations, I haven't done certain things, because I need to get ready for this, and while I was trying to get ready for this, I was never ready. You know what I mean? I could never sit down and get it gathered together. So Saturday came along, and I'm like, you have tomorrow. Tomorrow is a message. So I wake up super early in the morning, everybody's sleeping, and I go outside on a table, and I sit under a tree, and I'm writing some stuff. So I'm excited, got some stuff formulating, things are happening, and so I told them, let me take a break. The kids are up, let me just get them situated. And they want to do something, right? So I can't really do anything. So I thought, you know what, let's just go wash the car. So I figured that'd be a easy break. So they go to wash the car, my wife goes to get some hours at work. And then all of a sudden, I felt super sick. I had this massive headache, I feel like I'm gonna puke. I go in my house, and then, so I'm watching TV, just laying down with the kids, and I knock out, and I just feel really jump. So, I'm not put together. The message hopefully comes out really well, and you guys get something out of it, but I just want to share with you guys, like, On top of my paper, I wrote share this week, and I put in bold letters hectic, and then I made two exclamation points with like dead eyes on them, like, because that's how I feel. But the message is really, really cool, so hopefully I can get this through to you. So what I wanted to share with you guys today is this concept that I learned in this video, and hopefully we can get this video up and running today. I think it's really cool. Some of you enjoy it, some of you probably won't. Hopefully you all get something from it. But it's a really, really good video. So the title of the message is Crooked Sticks and Straight Lines. I was listening to some Christian rap a few weeks ago that stirred up this message, or this concept of this message again. And at the end of the song, he says, I guess crooked sticks can make straight lines, look at me. And so I thought it was pretty cool, right? So I go to my wife and my kids, I think somebody else, I can't remember who it was, and I asked them, so can you get crooked sticks, can you grab crooked sticks and make straight lines? And all of them said no. And I said, why? They said, because the sticks are crooked. You can't lay them down and make straight lines with them. And in my brain, I'm laughing because I think it's ridiculous, right? Like, so I tell one of my kids, like, maybe you need to change your perspective a little bit, because it's not about the stick being crooked and laying it down to make a line, but taking that stick and drawing a line in the sand, right? And so it told me things so simple, like, had like this huge thing in my brain. And I was like, oh man, and obviously it basically means that God can take us in the way we are, the way we do things, and still use us to make straight things, right? So that's the title of the message, Crooked Sticks and Straight Lines. Hopefully all this comes together. So as I'm writing this thing, right, I'm telling Pastor, you know, like, I'm having a hard time putting this together. And he's telling me, you know, just try to find a few points and just keep it simple or whatever. And even trying to do that, it was still kind of difficult. But I got a few points, right? And so I wrote down some ideas and points here. And I started to think, right? And I wrote down, if you don't know this, like, your biggest enemy is who? Yourself, right? A lot of us don't take my words the wrong way, right? But a lot of us think that Satan is our biggest enemy and our biggest foe, but a lot of times he's not our biggest foe, we are. And I was sitting there and I was thinking about it, right? So I wrote that Satan is your second biggest foe and you are your first. You are a formidable foe. When I wrote that, I was thinking to myself, well, that's not really the way you use the word formidable, right? So I had to search up the word formidable. And what it meant wasn't the way I wanted to use it in a sense, but it was. And I can't explain, I don't think I left it on my phone. But when you have a formidable foe, you're just basically saying that that foe scares you, that foe is big and strong, and it's somebody or something, and it's formidable, right? That's what the word means. But yet, hopefully this message, that word twists in reverse, and you can see it a different way. So I thought it was very crazy that. How do I? How to do this? But yeah, so most of the times, if not all the time, Satan uses you as a way or as a tool to destroy you, right? To hold you back, to slow you down, to keep you from moving forward. I wrote down, to overcome Satan is to overcome oneself. So some examples was like lust, anger, selfishness, pride, laziness. Those kind of things, they're not from Satan, they're from you. Does anybody understand what that means so far, or not really? Not really. Right? So I wrote, those things aren't of or from Satan, they're from you. Fear, shame, sin, the origin of you feeling unable or not worthy, not being equipped or created to do certain things, they don't come from Satan, they come from you. There are things that are already in you that Satan uses against you, right? So as I'm sitting here and I'm trying to figure this thing out, and this is during that time frame in the morning where I actually write something. I started to think about Adam and Eve, right? And what it was like for them, thinking about Satan when he came down there and whatnot. So I thought about them and how Satan tricked Adam and Eve to eat from the forbidden tree, right? The tree of knowledge of good and evil. And I don't think it wasn't just the downfall of man, but it was also, if you look at it differently, right? There's also a way for Satan to be able to use his tricks, his schemes, and his abilities to its fullest potential. Sorry. To use it to its fullest potential, to hold us back, to slow us down, to show us that we're not good enough, we're not deserving. And one of the ways that made me think about it was when Adam and Eve were there, did they know they were naked? No, right? They had no concern about that. They didn't worry about it. It was normal, but it was there. And when they finally ate of the tree of good, the knowledge of good and evil, they realized that they were, right? So my brain plays out. I'm not saying this happened. My brain plays out that moment when they ate the fruit and their eyes were open to this different type of knowledge. Satan could have been in the background like, oh, look at you, right? Giving them all these insecurities, would make them run away and hide and make some clothes and do all these things, right? Shame and whatnot. So hopefully it still makes sense, right? So he created an opportunity for himself to be able to take his abilities and use them to the fullest, right? Because was knowing is half the battle, right? So now we know fear, now we know I guess pain or temptation and all these other things, and they're put more clearly now. Hopefully this makes some sense to you. So I wrote, so here's a dose of reality. Satan will always be able to use his abilities against you. He'll always use you against you. But is there a way to stop making you your biggest enemy and weaken Satan's grip or power in or on your life? The answer to me is yes, of course there's a way to do that. So one of the things I wrote that we need to do is we need to be able to flip the script on Satan, right? So Satan, what I want to hopefully show today, the things we're going to go through today is things you should already know, but maybe change perspective, take a different angle, maybe it'll speak louder more to you, you know? So Satan uses your flaws, your shortcomings to hold you back. Well, hopefully today we can take your flaws and your shortcomings and use them not to hold you back, but to propel you forward. Hence the title, Crooked Sticks Make Straight Lines. So, like I said, I believe there's a way we can come against Satan, right? Weaken his grip against us and learn to not allow ourselves to be our biggest enemy. So the 3 points, before the 3 points. So the scripture for this message. Does everything look fine over there? Hold on. I'll read it to you guys anyway. So, crooked sticks make straight lines. The scripture that I chose, I thought was really cool with my wife. I was sharing with my wife what the message was about. And then she texted me one morning from work, and it had this scripture. And it doesn't exactly talk about what I'm saying right now, but it does feed into what's going to happen. And I thought it was pretty crazy. And I like the King James Version, Isaiah 42:16, and it says, "And I will bring the blind by a way that they knew not. I will lead them in paths that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them, and crooked things straight." I chose it because crooked things straight, right? "These things I will do unto them, and not forsake them." So I thought that was pretty cool. And I read that, and she sent it to me. I was like, that's pretty interesting, right? And the NLT version says, "I will lead the blind by ways they have not known, along unfamiliar paths I will guide them." I will turn the darkness into light before them and make the rough places smooth. These are the things I will do. I will not forsake them. So, 3 ways that we can do to weaken Satan's grip over us, I guess, or to make you not your biggest enemy, right? And obviously, it's understanding that crooked sticks make straight lines. Sorry. So the first point is understand that God is beyond your comprehension. These points I chose to use the words understand instead of know, because there's a lot of things that I do know, but I may know them, but I don't necessarily understand them, right? So, mine is to understand it. Sometimes I feel like we can be our biggest enemy because we don't understand how to fight back. You know, we don't understand the tricks of Satan or whatnot. That's why I chose the word understand versus know. So, understand that God is beyond your comprehension. Isaiah 55, 8 through 9. No? More?
Right there.
My thoughts are nothing like your thoughts, says the Lord, and my ways are far beyond anything you could imagine. For just as the heavens are higher than the earth, so my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. The next one is Isaiah 40:28. Have you ever heard? Have you never understood? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of all the earth. He never grows weak or weary. No one can measure the depths of his understanding. So I was reading this, and when I write a message, it's like when I talk and I'm comfortable. Right now I'm not comfortable, but when I'm comfortable, I can talk forever. And especially when it's about God stuff, you can ask like my sisters and whatnot. I can be there forever. Sorry. So I didn't want to go into this whole thing because I could get stuck there talking about it. So I picked something that you might find interesting, that you might disagree with, and I love those kind of things. Right? I like when we see things differently, or we might disagree with the things that we've read or whatnot, because it gives us the opportunity to see something different. So when I was thinking about this, one person popped in my head, and I think his concept can play through this whole message, and it's Job. Sorry. So when I was younger and I first read the story of Job, I was very disappointed. When I was told about Job, I was told about Job being such a great person in the Bible and all these big stories about Job. And when I first came to God and I was really interested in learning about him, and I read Job, he was a crybaby to me. He wasn't anything spectacular to me. I thought that he was junk. In fact, that out of that whole book, the only thing that I got out of the book was that young people can speak as well, and not just the older ones, because young are wise. And I don't know if you guys read that part of the Bible where the younger guy out of all his friends was quiet, right? And he says in the end, I thought that wisdom comes with age, and I was wrong, right? Because all his friends were saying things about Job that are untrue. And that's the first thing that I got when I first came to God. That it wasn't about Job, it was about the young guy. And it was so, I was so interested in Job that I think I read it one more time and I was done with Job. I guess I didn't want to read it because I couldn't see it. And that's probably because of my misunderstanding about Job, right? So if you don't know about Job, Job is a righteous man, right? They'll say. And Satan, cut it short, right? The word Satan meets with God and tells him that he don't think Job would denounce God, right? Or talk bad about God or whatnot, if God allowed bad things to happen to him. And God said that that he wouldn't do that, and that Job's a righteous man and whatnot, that God allowed Job to be tested. He tells Satan that you can do anything to him, but not physically. You can't harm him physically. So Satan takes everything away, right? He loses his property, his family, a lot of stuff. and Job still stays faithful. And so Satan goes back and says, well, if you let me hurt him, I'm pretty sure that he'll turn away from you. And God says, go ahead, you can hurt him, but you cannot kill him. And he gets all these boils and all, just cuts and stuff. There's a point where it's horrifying for him and whatnot, scratches and all these things, right? And so I'm reading about Job, and the last time, or just recently I read about him, and I'm trying to figure out what made Job so special. What made him, for me in the brain, what I heard was that Job was a righteous man, he did all these things, and he was blessed because he was righteous, right? And that's in my brain. So I'm really trying to figure out more about Job and what did he really do to deserve, if you will, that double portion blessing. And there's something that I thought, about the Bible. There's something that I thought that was interesting when I was reading about Job. And going through the whole thing about Job again, I still don't find him interesting. You know what I mean? Like, if I went to heaven, I don't think Job would be one of the guys I'd be excited to see. And this is one of the reasons why, right? So Job 29, it says, Job continues speaking, and Job said, I long for the years gone by when God took care of me, when he lit up the way before me, and I walked safely through the darkness. When I was in my prime, God's friendship was felt in my home. The Almighty was still with me, and my children were around me. My steps were a washing cream, and the rocks gushed olive oil for me. Those were the days when I went to the city gate and took my place among the honored leaders. The young stepped aside when they saw me, and even the aged rose in respect at my coming. The princes stood in silence and put their hands over their mouths. The highest officials of the city stood quietly, holding their tongues in respect. All who heard me praised me. All who saw me spoke well of me. For I assisted the poor in their needs and the orphans who required help. I helped those without hope, and they blessed me. And I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. Everything I did was honest. Righteousness covered me like a robe, and I wore justice like a turban. I served as eyes for the blind and feet for the lame. I was a father to the poor and assisted strangers who needed help. I broke the jaws of godless oppressors and plucked their victims from their teeth. I thought surely I would die surrounded by my family after a long good life. For I am like a tree whose roots reach the water, whose branches are refreshed with the dew. New honors are constantly bestowed on me, and my strength is continually renewed. Everyone listened to my advice. They were silent as they waited for me to speak. And after I spoke, they had nothing to add, for my counsel satisfied them. They longed for me to speak as people long for rain. They drank my words like a refreshing spring rain. When they were discouraged, I smiled at them. My look of approval was precious to them. Like a chief, I told them what to do. I lived like a king among his troops, and comforted those who mourned. So like that, when I read that, I was going through this whole process with Job, like that, I don't know about you, but that kind of irritated me. From my perspective, when I was reading, all I heard for myself was I from Job. And a lot of the stuff when I was reading this, I really felt like Job misunderstood it. That at some point in time, Job was about himself. He enjoyed the things he was blessed with. You know what I mean? And like I said, that might not be to you, but that was what it was to me. When I was reading that, that's what I got. And then if you move over to, towards the end, right? Because Job is complaining, and he's going through this whole process about why is he still alive, and he should have never been born, and all these other things, right? And God challenges Job. So you can find it. Find the right one. Then the Lord answered Job from the whirlwind, "Who is this that questions my wisdom? Who is this that questions my wisdom with such ignorant words? Brace yourself like a man, because I have some questions for you, and you must answer them. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me, if you know so much, who determined its dimensions and stretched out the surveying line? Who or what supports its foundations, and who laid its cornerstone as the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy? Who kept the sea inside its boundaries as it burst from the wind? And as I clothed it with clouds and wrapped it in thick darkness, for I locked it behind barred gates, limiting its shores. I said, this far and no further will you come. Here your proud waves must stop. Have you ever commanded the morning to appear and caused the dawn to rise in the east? Have you made daylight spread to the end of the earth to bring an end of the night's wickedness? As the light approaches the earth, takes shape like clay pressed beneath the sill. It is robed in brilliant colors. The light disturbs the wicked and stops the arm that is raised in violence. Have you explored the springs from which the seas come? Have you explored their depths? Do you know where the gates of death are located? Have you seen the gates of utter gloom? Do you realize the extent of the earth? Tell me about it if you know. Right, so God goes on to basically say, who are you? Right? Who are you compared to me to ask me all these questions or come to me in my words in this way or in this tone with all this stuff, right? And God continues to lay down the whip, I guess, letting him know who he is and making sure that Job knows that he should stay in his lane. Sorry. That was Job 38. Okay, so for a while, God just challenges Job to respond to what he's saying, right? And this is, yeah. And I think this is the answer, right? So what I'm trying to say here is to understand that God is beyond your comprehension, right? Job, I believe that Job was blessed not only because he didn't give up, if you will, or whatever, how you look at it. I think that Job was humbled, and because Job allowed himself to be humbled and to understand that God is in control and God is God, and that's why he was blessed. For what I've read and what I understand so far from the reading, I don't see any other big thing, right? So Job responds on chapter 42 and says, then Job replied to the Lord, I know that you can do anything and no one can stop you. You asked, who is this that questions my wisdom with such ignorance? It is I, and I was talking about things I knew nothing about, things far too wonderful for me. You said, listen and I will speak. I have some questions for you and you must answer them. I had only heard about you before, but now I have seen you with my own eyes. I take back everything I said, and I sit in dust and ashes to show my repentance. I don't know if you're like me, I'm blown away by the statement that a man like Job, who had everything given to him and whatnot, and then taken away, can still sit there with all that and understand that God is a God of creation. And whatever his plans was for Job, it was planned by him. And I just found that crazy. So after that happens, and Job asks for repentance, it goes through that whole thing, then it says that Job was blessed, and I'm not going to go through the whole concept of that, right? But he was blessed beyond measure, right, if you will. So the first point, like I said, was to understand that you cannot comprehend what God can, right? So understand that God is beyond your comprehension. There's another part about it that says that, I like the word, and it says that my understanding is unscrutable to you. And it just basically means that whatever I understand, you cannot understand. And like Job, one of the things Job didn't understand was behind the scenes on what God and Satan was talking about and what was actually going on through all that, right? So, like I said, point one, understand that God is beyond your comprehension. Point 2, understand that you're not only created, but designed by God Himself. This one was really, really cool for me. You know, I was trying to figure out some stuff and whatnot, and I was listening to this one guy. I was supposed to write his stuff down, so I was giving props because it was his video and whatnot. And I'm gonna be like super honest. Like when I look at certain videos and the quality is super old quality, and it's like a super old guy on it, like I really don't want to watch it. It's just like I'm just not interested. But I decided to click on the button anyway. And then I was super sad because it wasn't a walk around video, it was just a picture of him and the voice. But it was really, really good. So it says, like I said, understand that you are not only created but designed by God Himself. Psalms 103. I thought it was pretty cool because the end of this book that I'm writing has a few scriptures about them, and one of them was, a couple of them was what I used. I thought it was cool. It says, He made us and we are His. We are His people, the sheep of His pasture. So this guy that I'm listening to makes a really, really cool point. And his thing is talking about being wonderfully and fearfully made. And he's talking about how he doesn't understand, I guess, would be the right word, how people can look at earth or look at man and not see God, you know? So he does, I just want to say a few things that he said, and I thought was a pretty cool perspective to look at. Hopefully I do it justice and it makes sense to you guys. So he's talking about like how they can't believe that the earth was created by something intellectual. And he says that, he's talking about when something is created by intellect, there's order in it and it's created a certain way, it's just not random. And so he's talking about like if two guys flying a helicopter and they pass this beach and then they look at the ocean and they see these rocks in the shape of hell, right? And you know that someone created that it just wasn't random or happened by chance. So you would go and look into it, right? And he's talking about like the point he makes was he's talking about they live at. He said, you know, I think it was like St. Helens or something. And he said, if I told you that all the cars you see out here in this parking lot was created this morning, that it was just so happened that the volcano erupted a little, it has some stuff happening, and these cars just ended up here. The keys are in the ignition, and it's powered windows and powered doors, and it has all these things in it. And in fact, there's gas in it, and you can just get in it and drive. He says, if I told you that it was just created by chance, just all of a sudden, would you believe it? And they said no, because they know that something had to create it, something had to have made that, something intellectual had to be behind it. So he goes to this whole rant about all these things. I'm not going to go through them as much as I want to. And it was just crazy to hear from a different perspective, you know? And he's just talking about how we're made a certain way, right? Talking about, oh, if I told you that next year there's going to have a car that can get into an accident and repair itself and whatever is wrong with it or fix it and all these other things, you know? You can scratch it and tomorrow morning the scratch will be gone. That you want to believe in it, but yet we look at ourselves and what we're capable of, and there's people out there who still believe that we're just by chance or we're just random. And he says that you look at it and there's just no way you can, but in a sense, as a protector. And I found it really, really cool, and it made me fall in love more with who he was. So anyway, the backstory is, you saw that green guy that was talking over there? He's a bad guy, right? He's the newest bad guy at that time frame. And his name is Cell. That boy you see there is Gohan. Gohan is Goku's son. He's a teenager, right? So backstory, basically, just so you understand this, and hopefully you understand how it goes into it here, is this guy Cell was created to destroy the world, again. And so Goku's the closest guy who can destroy him, but Goku's not strong enough, right? So they're all fighting under this whole concept and they can't beat him. Cell goes to a point where he's gonna basically self-destruct, right? So he grows his big super balloon and he's about to die. And Goku, if you know what Goku is, he's being who he is, right? He does this move by instant transmission where he can travel back and forth between spaces or whatever, whatnot, in an instant. And at the moment where Cell is about to grow up and destroy Earth, he sacrifices his life and takes Cell out to another planet, right, to another place to die. Sacrifices his life, they both die. But if I'm not mistaken, I haven't watched it forever, or this part, Cell doesn't die. Cell comes back, hence the name Cell, because in order for him to be completely dead, every single completely cell of his body needs to be gone. So he regenerates back on Earth. And everybody who's weaker than Goku starts to freak out, because now they definitely know that the world is going to die. Everybody's going to be gone. The next person who they have hope in is Gohan. And Gohan is Goku's son. The thing about Gohan is Gohan's potential is super, super strong. Gohan has the potential to be maybe even greater than his father, right? Gohan's problem is, since he was I'm going through this thing since we're having another kid and I'm praying that as a boy. I'm preparing my wife by watching some Dragon Ball movies that she hates. She doesn't want to watch it. So we've been going through the old stuff. And I realized, right, that Gohan, ever since he was a little kid, was a crybaby. Ever since he was a little kid, he always felt inadequate. Yeah, all these things, right? So Gohan grows up feeling like he's never good enough. Like he can never add up to what his dad is. He can never be better than anybody else. He can't save nobody. He's not powerful. All these things that Gohan dealing with, the same kind of stuff we deal with all the time when Satan goes and he mocks us and treats us a certain way, right? And so Gohan starts to freak out because now that Dad's gone, there's no one else but him who can stop this monster. And that's where this video starts. So honestly, how much of you guys had a hard time watching that? No? Like I said, I wanted to share something with you guys on something the way that God speaks to me. You have no idea how much things for me is in that video that I can take and I can learn from and apply in my life. I don't know if there's any other Dragon Ball fans in here, or if anybody else got, like, even just trying to watch and just listen to it gets me super excited. It gets me a heart pumping, and it makes me feel like I'm having a hard time to breathe. Maybe it's just me, you know what I mean? But it excites me, to my core, to my being. And when I watched that video, in that sense, when I realized what it was, or what God was saying to me, it was a message, right? It was that no matter where I am in my life, no matter how much I'm struggled, that God's created me a certain way, you know? Gohan is Goku's son, born from Goku, you know what I mean? Shares the same bloodline, the same capabilities, created, if you will, in a way that he is the one next, right? He is supposed to be able to do all these things. The same way God created me, and shaped me and molded me, just to shape us and mold us in His image, in His way, you know. You can take His words out of context, but when He says that He will do more than I have, right? You can say whatever it is, right? But He's created you that way. He's designed you that way. And like Gohan, I can feel unreliable, unable, not always at the right place where I need to be. I'm unworthy or incapable of doing all these things, of defeating bigger foes or moving on to certain things. It's not even with only God stuff, just stuff in my life, you know, getting better at certain things, going through certain processes, whatever it is. That Gohan, I can struggle with that. But once again, if I can understand that I was created this way, you know, that I have this abilities in me that I can move forward. And I think the most special part of this whole thing, and hopefully you caught that, was the dad's dead, right? The dad's in the other world. And Gohan, their famous move, where the dad's famous move, as you can see, is called Kamehameha. And it's two hands, not one. So when the dad tells him to give him the greatest commandment you have, he says what? I can't. I'm missing an arm and my power level is down to half. Anybody ever felt like that? I can't do it. I just can't go that far, right? I can't forgive that person, or I can't forget this, or I can't move forward from this, or whatever it is, right? It's too hard sometimes. And the way I'm built maybe shows me that I'm unable to do that, right? Like I just can't do that. And I love the fact that the last point is that God is always with you. No matter where you go, He's always backing you up, He's always behind you, He's never going to leave you, He's never going to forsake you. Because behind Gohan was what? Anybody saw? What's that? Right? So behind Gohan with his one hand, half power level Kamehameha, his dad stood right behind, sorry, his dad stood right behind him, guiding him and helping him through that whole process, you know? And I didn't know how to be emotional. Knowing that I have a father like that, that's not going to forsake me, and that's not going to let me go, and that's going to be behind me every single step, even if I make a wrong step, and He's watching over me all the time, amazes me, and it excites me, and it gives me the energy and the drive to continue to fight, and to continue to push forward, and not to let my flaws and my failures hold me back, but allow God's love and His perspective about who I am and what I am to propel my life forward in becoming something greater, right? But with that being said, I'm going to end the message. Sorry for having it so long and having a video like that, but I just wanted to share it with you guys. So if we just call the worship team up and I'll pray for the message.